Hi, my name is Samantha and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be making 18-foot curtains. Let's get into it. Today's video is going to be the first and maybe a 3 or 4 part series, so don't forget to subscribe so you'll see the follow-up videos. Today we're going to be laying out the fabric, cutting it, pinning it together. Part 2 will be sewing it up. I'm working on this project for a customer. She has 18-foot ceilings, so the curtains are going to be 17 feet 10 inches finished product with grommets on the top. Now, I've hemmed curtains before, but I've never made them from scratch, so this is my first time doing it. I watched a bunch of tutorials and I figured out the best construction method that I think would work best for me, and I'm going to go ahead and implement that method. I'll have it linked down below, the video that I'm using the instructions from. Let me know in the comments down below, have you ever made curtains this big or a project this long? I've never done something that's this big. I'm both nervous and optimistic about how this project's going to turn out. I feel confident in my ability to be able to complete it, and I think it's going to turn out really great. Here is everything I'm working with. We've got the exterior, the lining fabric, the grommets. I have 2 different kinds of hem adhesive. I have the thicker one, which is super weight, and the thinner one, which is regular weight. And I'm hoping to use this instead of having to pin along the whole length of the fabric. And then I have some thread here. So the thread and the grommets and the fabric were provided by the customer. And the thread, I don't know if there's enough to do the whole length, so I'm going to save it for top stitching just to make sure that I have enough, because it is perfectly matched with the fabric, so I don't want to waste it on the interior that could be just white. We are making 18-foot curtains, 2 panels, to make sure that I have enough fabric here. What I have set up is 5 of my 4-foot tables all lined up in a row, and I've cleaned these twice. I know it looks like there's some stains, but I washed them twice, so this is not going to come off. 20 feet of table. This is not wide enough, however, it's long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll the fabric that way, then roll it back this way to make sure that there's enough fabric, and then I'll cut. I went ahead and I wrote out step by step all of the instructions per the video I watched. I'll have it linked down below. I think Sailorite is the brand that I'm following. So we are going to have 17 feet and 10-inch finished curtains. I'm going to cut 19 feet just to be perfectly sure that I have enough fabric. I'm basing it off 18-foot curtains to have me 2 inches of wiggle room just in case, and then you add 12 inches of height for the grommet section and the bottom. So we're cutting 19 feet. The tables are 20 feet. If there's 20 foot worth both ways, I'm just going to cut it at 20 foot. I would rather have more fabric than not enough. And then we're doing just the width of the fabric, which is 56 inches and then 54 inches, but we actually need 4 inches difference between the two. So we're going to have to trim down the lining another 2 inches to make it have 1 inch of return on the back. So the first thing I need to do is go ahead and roll out the fabric. I've rolled it out one way. Now we need to come back the other. So we've got 20 feet done. This is how much is on the roll. Let's see how it goes. And I have the, this is the pretty side. So this is the wrong side, touching the table just in case. I've got it folded, so it's a little less than 20 feet. We're probably at like 19 feet and 10 inches maybe. And here is the bottom. So if I chopped it right here, this is where the table is. If I chopped it right here, this is maybe a foot, 2 feet extra. I'm gonna do the same thing with the lining, and then that'll determine where we're gonna cut. This is actually working great using these tables. I have them at the lowest setting, and the fabric is still not touching the ground. You can see there's still clearance. So if you want to know anything more about these tables, I did a whole video on where these tables are from and why I think they're the best. Anyways, I need to do the lining, but that is the top. I made sure to smooth out any of the wrinkles. I'm going to lay the lining down. Since the lining, you can't tell what's the front and the back, I've got these safety pins right here. I'm just going to put a couple on the right side so that I know for later. It turns out there's actually quite a bit more of the lining than the decorative. Here is the lining, and I marked again the right side. So I'll go ahead and pull this over to the edge, and I'm going to cut both fabrics at this line. This will give me 20 feet, and then I also need to cut the curve on the other end, and that will give me plenty of curtain and we can move on to the next step. I went ahead and cut the lining using pinking shears to help prevent any unnecessary fraying. So I have the 2 pieces of lining. I'm folding them up, setting them aside so then I can cut the decorative fabric. All 4 pieces of fabric are cut. Now the next thing I need to do is these pieces are 57 inches and the lining is 55. I need to make the lining 4 inches shorter than wider. The width needs to be 4 inches shorter than the exterior. So I need to fold these up and then cut down the lining. Here is my plan. I have pinned with clothespins one side and the other side is not pinned. So I'll cut on this side 2 inches. On the other side, I'll just use the clothespins to help me fold it nicely on top, and I'll use my rotary cutter. That's my plan. We'll see how it goes. That's a pretty nice fold if I do say so myself. So I'm gonna put a couple more pins and we'll do this again. And then I think if I fold it in thirds, I'll be able to get it on my cutting mat. Here is the side with the pins. It's pretty well lined up, I would say. And here is the side that I plan to cut. There's some of them that are off by a hair, but who knows if it was completely even to begin with. I think it's a pretty good job. I'm gonna pin right here to make sure it doesn't move, and then we'll cut 2 inches off of this side. I need to do this with the other piece. This is the first piece. This is the side that I lined up with this is the side that I lined up with all the pins. This is the side that's going to get cut. Then on this guy here, this is the side with all the pins, and then this is the side that's going to get cut. If you have any suggestions how to precisely, easily, quickly, efficiently cut off 19 feet worth of fabric in one go, let me know. It is just a tad bigger than my board, so I've got it lined up on an inch mark. So I know I need to cut over 2 inches, which I can see at the bottom of the top. And on my ruler, I can also see 1 inch, 2 inch. So I'm going to be using both of these as a gauge for my 2 inches. See, 2 inches. And then we're going to chop it off. Just make sure it's all perfectly lined up. Straight. Two inches. Even if this is not perfectly exact, I do believe that this, for me at least, is more accurate than if I were to use a pair of scissors. I am not accurate with a pair of scissors. Anyways, time to chop. Okay, and this is the other edge, yes. So 2 inches. See, my cutting mat is actually bigger than my table, so down here on the corner, when I'm trying to cut, it's not working very well. Watch. I have to see how it's bending. I'm cutting through so many layers of fabric. Okay, I'm gonna try the pull apart to see if I cut through all the layers. Looks like the top I did not down here. So I'm gonna move this up. I think we're good now. Nope. There we go. Okay. Like I said, I think that is much more efficient than a pair of scissors. Onto the other piece. Got the second piece here lined up to the best of my abilities. It's on an inch mark, and again we're going to use both pieces of evidence. Right, Looks good to me. Again, I think it didn't cut down here at the bottom. Oh, no, it did. All right, there we go. Now we can move on to the next step. Our lining is 4 inches shorter in width than our exterior. Our next step is to put the right side of the decorative fabric and the right side of the lining facing each other, and then you're supposed to pin and then sew. But this is where I'm going to use the adhesive to hold them together instead of pinning along the length of all 4 sides. I've got the right side of the lining, which I know is the right side because remember I placed the safety pins to tell me. And then I have the right side of the decorative fabric because remember I told you to put the wrong side towards the table. The next step is you need to pin and sew this side together, and then you'll pin and sew this side together, making a tube. Now, to pin and sew 20 feet 4 times, because there's 2 panels, is going to take forever. Plus, I'm worried that I don't even have enough pins for that, and I'm going to stab myself, or the pins are going to shift. So my thought is to use this stuff, and in my one time going down, I will go ahead and heat bond it together. It'll be more sturdy together, plus then I won't have any pins in it, and I can just go ahead and sew it. And I can sew it in 4 separate sessions if I need to, because it'll already be hemmed together. That is my thought. We'll see how it goes. So I just read the instructions and it says, do not sew. So now I'm second guessing myself. I have it all laid out, ready to go. And I thought this would be a great idea because then I could, like I said, pretty much be done and not have to pin and then sew when I have the chance to sew. I feel like if I pin it, I need to sew it today and be done. Don't know. It's so thin. It's 3/8 of an inch. And I'm sewing at a 1/2 inch, I believe. So if this is 3/8, that's smaller than a half. So technically I wouldn't be sewing over it. I wonder if I sewed at 5/8 of an inch. Then we'd be good. Okay, I'm just gonna pin, and I'm gonna try and pin like here so that I don't have to take them out when I'm sewing. We'll see. I might only be able to do 1 panel and then have to sew it to get my pins back to do the other panel. Did I just stab myself? I don't know. We'll see. We are all pinned up, and I was not stingy with the pins. I used a ton of pins. So now I need to, like how this is rolled, I need to nicely roll this, pull it over, and do the other side. And then we can sew it up. This is how many pins are left after doing one side. Okay, I actually put the pin side down and like tugged on it and made it flat. So now just the weight of the pins is holding the fabric taut. So now I'm gonna, see how there's a gap? This is what's gonna make the return. So now I need a pin like this along the other side. The other side is all pinned up, and somehow I wound up with like all this extra lining. I don't know how. So I'm gonna chop this off because it's not gonna do me any good. And then I'll need to sew on both sides. And I did not cut the selvage, so what I'll do is I'll just make sure I sew on this side, and then I can either pink or serge off the selvage, and that'll save me a step, and I know it's straight. So that is the plan. I have it rolled up in thirds. Now I'll need to roll it up like a roll, so that then I can take it to the sewing machine and it's manageable. And I need to do this to the other side. I have, let me show you how many pins I have left. I have this many pins left, so I think I have enough. Both panels have been pinned on both sides, so we've got 80 feet, because 20 times 4 worth of pins pinned up. This is how much I have left. I'm shocked. So I need to go ahead and roll this up. The other one I already have rolled up. It's a lot more manageable. This is 20 feet worth of curtain all rolled up. Let me do that to the other one. We have now finished step 1. We finished step 2 by cutting to the correct width, and then we pinned the lining to the decorative right sides together lengthwise on both panels. Now they need to be sewn, and we'll be done with step 3 and can move on to step 4. But this will definitely be another session. I'm burnt out for right now. That wraps up part 1. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see part 2. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.